Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today, Percy Jackson is back, but this time I'm looking at one of the follow-up series, Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Now, going into Magnus Chase, I had literally no idea about anything to do with Norse mythology, but after finishing the series, I felt a bit more informed. But I still had a lot of questions, especially about Hotel Valhalla, where both we and Magnus are introduced to the world of Norse mythology and the Norsemen. But with the knowledge I had gained over the past Percy Jackson and Rick Riordan series about the afterlife, my main question about Valhalla was, how do the characters know they're in Valhalla? So, some context behind my question. From Percy Jackson and the Kane Chronicles, we've gotten quite a bit of an idea about how the afterlife works. So firstly, the afterlife is kind of a final death, unless in, like Percy Jackson, you go on to try for Elysium. The underworld is the final death. You have no second chances, you have no way to return to the world, you are just dead and gone. But what was different about it is that as we are introduced to it in The Lightning Thief, when Grover, Percy and Annabeth go to the underworld, depending on your religion, you may not always see the underworld as it is. For example, we have, I think he was a Catholic priest now, I can't actually remember. Basically, he was a dodgy guy who was of a different religion to the Hellenistic religion of the Greek gods, but he was in the underworld. So, as Grover noted, he was seeing the hell that he believed in, not the underworld. Something similar was discussed in the Kane Chronicles, when we are introduced to a guy who was slowly beginning to believe in the Egyptian gods and got into the Egyptian underworld and was seeing it as he was meant to, in the Egyptian way. Now, having that idea of how people see the world depending on their world views, we know that Magnus Chase is an atheist, so really, if he was meant to see any kind of afterlife, he wouldn't. Or maybe they would change it so, okay, this religion was actually correct, or this religion was actually correct. We kind of aren't really giving an idea as to what an atheist may see in terms of an underworld. But in Magnus Chase and Valhalla as a whole, every single person in Hotel Valhalla knows they are in the Norse afterlife, whether they believed in the Norse mythology or history as a whole. For example, we have Mallory Keane, who is of Gaelic and Irish heritage, who most likely, if she was going to believe in any gods, it may have been the Celtic gods, but she still sees Valhalla. So because of this introduction to what the afterlife is often seen by those of different religions, when Magnus Chase started and it was introduced to the idea that every single person there knew they were at Valhalla, it made me wonder as to why that might be. So let's get into the discussion, and if you guys agree with me, let me know in the comments or leave a thumbs up, and I'm going to put that at the start here because I keep forgetting to put it at the end anyway. But anyway, let's carry on with this discussion of the afterlife. Now, the first point could be the fact that the underworld and the afterlife are the end. That is your final death. You are dead. There is no coming back from that unless, like I mentioned, you try for Elysium in the underworld, or in the afterlife if your spirit travels. But you don't actually come back in any other way. You aren't in a human form. Unless, of course, obviously you're doing for the Elysium thing. But that doesn't technically count. You are still dead. You're just trying to gain 3 good deaths to then get a nice afterlife. But in Valhalla, even though they have died, they can still live and carry on in the mortal world. And in other worlds, they can travel outside of their afterlife. Because what they are actually there for is to wait for their final death at Ragnarok. So with that logic, it would make more sense for them to know that they're in Valhalla, that they are in the Norse afterlife, because they are there for this final battle, their final death. You kind of can't have someone not know what's going on and expect them to fight well and cause many deaths and fight until this final death to protect the world as best as possible, even though I guess it's ending, so it kind of doesn't work. But still, you need to have your army know that they're meant to be fighting for something and know that they're actually meant to be fighting, because if they were there and had no idea the reason behind them being there, or they were seeing, for example, the Christian afterlife, and then suddenly they're in a battle, they're going to have no context as to what they are meant to be doing or understand why they're actually suddenly in a battle. So with that idea in mind, having the Einherjar, am I saying it right? The Einherjar? I'm probably saying it wrong. I can never pronounce words like this correctly. But to have them know where they are is the advantage of the Norsemen, because they are going to be preparing themselves for years and centuries upon centuries, as we see in Magnus Chase that some people have been there for centuries. That when this final battle comes around, they may not be as powerful as some of the people they may be going up against, but they will have a fighting chance. Another idea as to why they may be seeing Valhalla? Well, unlike in Percy Jackson, where you are taken to a camp and later claimed by your godly parent, for some of the people who are in Valhalla who do have godly parentage, they won't actually know that they have this godly Norse parent until they reach Valhalla. They aren't claimed in the mortal realm. They're claimed in the afterlife. So to be able to receive this claim and to learn of their heritage and their parents, they kind of need to know why it's happening and where they are and what's going on, and kind of get an idea as to what the Norse people are, because Magnus doesn't really know that much about Norse mythology going in either. He has a few recollections of stories his mother told him, but that was about it. So to have them learn and understand that they are in Valhalla, this afterlife, and then to go on to be claimed, and yes, not all of them are children of the gods. Some of them have attributes of Norse belief, such as honour and a general belief in Norse mythology, such as people in modern day who still believe in the Hellenistic religion, which I totally get, admittedly. But to have these attributes to get into Valhalla, of course they're going to see if they have this belief or this connection to the Norse gods. So in that way, it kind of makes sense for them to be seeing Valhalla. And in general, these guys can travel across the 9 worlds or realms, and if they kind of manage to get back to Midgard and then somehow trip and fall into Jotunheim, they may want to understand why, because that can be confusing for anyone who doesn't understand what's going on. And those are my ideas as to why the people in Hotel Valhalla know they're in the Norse afterlife, whether or not they believed in it prior to their death. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me as to my ideas, or do you have your own as to why they can see Valhalla? Let me know in the comment section down below. But in general, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I had so much fun looking into the afterlife and trying to understand what Ragnarok and all that sort of stuff was about, just so I could get a bit of an idea as to the discussions and theories I was having in this video. But yeah, what did you guys think? Did you enjoy the video? If you do, be sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment down below, because any support or any note as to you guys enjoying my videos would be really appreciated. But in general, thank you guys so much for watching. If you go to the description box down below, you'll find the links to my Instagram and Patreon, where on Patreon you get early access to any and all of my videos, as well as have a say as to what comes out in future. Here on YouTube, however, if you guys aren't already subscribed, go to the button down below or click the one popping up here on screen. If you want to check out my previous Percy Jackson videos, the playlist will be popping up here, and then something else for you guys will be popping up here. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.